Hey, what's up? How are you today? I hope you're doing great. Welcome to 40 Days to PMP and CAPM exam success. I hope you've been having a great time following along in the curriculum. And I hope you're not missing the days. Just follow the days. Look below the video and make sure that you are checking the open-ended questions or the definitions that I'm calling out. It's so important that you do this. Very important that you open up that study guide of yours, whichever one it is, whether it's ours, whether it's someone else's. Also, the PMBOK guide. Very important that you get used to the very stern type of language that you could experience on the exam, or very, say, disinfected type of language. It's just so bland that it's almost hard to go through the questions sometimes on the exam. From a lot of the feedback that I've seen on social media and LinkedIn when people share the experience, the language and the words, the word structure, sentence structure, very, very difficult for many people to understand. More so, non-native English speakers find it really hard on the exam. So some people use the translation aids. So be aware that they are translation aids. If English is not your first language, be aware that you have translation aids. You also have the PMBOK guide in other languages. So I would advise you to look out for these language aids, these translations, and that could further help you as you study and as you even take the exam. Okay, so our study today is based on the PMBOK guide 5th edition, chapter 1. And chapter 1 is really a foundational chapter. Foundational in that it will give you the core definitions that you need to build upon for chapters 3, 4, 5, and beyond. Now, if you look at the PMP exam content outline, which is the outline on which the PMP exam is based, you'll discover that there's really no mention being made of those core definitions. Those core definitions are important though, and these things are the definitions for projects, programs, portfolios, project management, program management, portfolio management, operations management, qualities of work that we define as projects versus qualities of work that we define as operations. We also have a table that shows you the differences between projects, programs, and portfolios. That stuff you do need to know. And it's not as though you're going to be asked, what is the definition of a project? That would be too easy. You could be asked questions that allude to a particular type of work, and you would need to know that it's a portfolio to be able to answer the question properly, or know it's a program, or no, it's a project. Okay, so I'm going to give you the top of the waves definitions just to jog your memory. This is not verbatim from the PMBOK guide. It has some similarities, but let's first of all talk about first few pages in chapter 1 are why do we need the PMBOK guide? Well, it's a standard which is different from a regulation. Standard consists of emerging practices, good practices, best practices, whatever you want to call them, that are used to effectively do something, in this case manage projects. So we're talking about good practices for managing projects. That's what's encapsulated in the PMBOK guide. Why do we need the PMBOK guide? It serves as a common lexicon for firms, for teams all around the world. Team A from the USA, Team B from Poland, Team C from India, they all get together, they're speaking PMBOK guide. It's the same language as far as terminology is concerned, as far as the approach to managing projects is concerned. Now, this is very flexible. The PMBOK guide is not a one-size-fits-all type of standard. It has to be tailored to meet the unique needs of each project and firm. So when people say the PMBOK guide is a methodology, that's not right. It's not a methodology, because you can plug and play different pieces and create your own methodology from the pieces available in the PMBOK guide. Okay, so definitions of projects. What is a project? A project is a temporary endeavor that is undertaken to deliver a specific deliverable to the client, to fulfill a need, to deliver a product, service, or result that is actually needed by an entity. Contrary to what one of my students said in a class, which was, hey Phil, we don't just do projects for that. We do projects to get rid of budget. No. Contrary to that, the PMI's approach is projects are undertaken to meet real needs, to fulfill real needs. We don't just run projects because we have a bunch of money and we want to get rid of the money for that fiscal year. So bear that in mind. The next definition is project management. Project management, as defined in the PMBOK guide, has three components. It's all about applying, first, knowledge, two, skills, and three, tools and techniques. So let's break that down. Knowledge, what you know. So in order to be a great project manager, you should have knowledge about project management, about leadership principles and ideas, about cost management, about risk management, about human resource management, and how to effectively communicate. Project managers should also have some knowledge about contracting, procurements, negotiating, how to effectively scope out a project to make sure that you're not doing too much or too little, how to effectively schedule, whether you are in the Primaveras of the world or the what do we call it, Microsoft projects, or Plan Views, or Clear Views, or you know all those applications. Whichever the application you're in, you should have some idea about scheduling. I mean, schedules, when properly done, do drive the project. So that's really what project management is in the lens of the PMI. Applying knowledge about these things I mentioned. Skills, being pragmatic, taking that knowledge and being able to execute upon that knowledge. Having the awareness and abilities to effectively apply the knowledge. And lastly, tools and techniques such as the ones I just mentioned. Excel is a tool and technique. Google Docs, tool and technique. Microsoft Project, Primavera, and what have you. They're all tools. Techniques are more like earned value management, things that are not necessarily a tangible tool or software application, but could be looked at as a method to apply to a process to get an output. So tools are very specific, techniques also specific, and you'll come across more definitions of tools and techniques in chapter 3, because that's where we begin to break down the ITTOs, the dreaded ITTOs. Okay, so the other definitions here revolve around program and portfolio management. A program is a collection of two or more projects that are interrelated. They're interrelated. I mean, you talk about project A, B, and C. A is a software project. B is a hardware project. A and B are all well and good, but software on its own is no good, and hardware on its own is no good. So what about a project C to integrate A and B? This is an example, very simple example of a program. The software, the hardware, and the integration. The integration can't be done without having the outputs from A and B. A and B cannot be used effectively without C. So this is an example of how three different projects could exist in a program to achieve benefits. The overall benefit is giving the company a working system of software and hardware that can help them do whatever they're looking to do. So managing as a program gives benefits and also control. Imagine this program with projects where we had similar client or similar clients or one client or several resources that were assigned to these three projects. Don't you think it would make more sense to manage these in an integrated fashion if we had A, B, and C using a similar pool of resources? See, that's the whole thing about programs. We manage as a program to obtain benefits through the coming together of these projects, the cumulative effect or sum of these projects, and also control. So benefits and control. Okay. So what is program management? Managing of one or more programs. Now we have one more definition and one more set of definitions: portfolios. Portfolio and portfolio management. So what is a portfolio? A portfolio is a collection of standalone projects, one project, and also programs. So when you think about a portfolio, don't just think about projects, think about programs as well. And don't just think about projects and programs, you also need to think about operational work. Because what happens when you implement the project solution or the program solution, the next thing to think about is the maintenance and upkeep of those solutions. So we're talking about projects and programs, but we're also talking about operational work, other work that may be operational, that may be a one-off type of thing. But all of these buckets of work could be in a portfolio. And the main reason why we manage portfolios is to make sure that we're not throwing money down the drain, and to ensure that we are actually meeting the company's strategic business objectives. A lot of companies they come out with projects that shouldn't even exist. They don't have a portfolio steering committee. They do not have a selection process for their projects. Anyone can raise a project and the project is taken and run with, without a filtering system. That's not good. Portfolio management, in the lens of the PMI, is all about, watch this, it's all about choosing the right work. It's all about doing the right work. It's not about doing the work right. Portfolio management is not about checking the project management process. No. Portfolio management is all about doing the right work. And to do the right work, you need to have your projects and you need to analyze these, well, I should call them potential projects. An aero firm I once worked in would call these candidates, because they're not really projects yet. They've not been approved. Remember, in the world of the PMI, you need to have a project charter before your project is a project. So it's only a prospective project at this point. All right, so portfolio management is all about doing the right work and making sure that what you're doing is being done to fulfill the company's strategic business objectives. It's being done to ensure that you are meeting the company's strategic business objectives. So companies without vision, without a mission, without goals being clearly set, will struggle with sensible portfolio management and are probably not as directed as firms that have a strategic business objective, that have goals, that have targets about what they want to achieve in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And of course, portfolio management is the management of one or more portfolios. Also, be aware of operations. Operations are very important. Operational work is done to sustain the business, keep the business running. Without operations, where would we be? And on the flip side, a lot of projects are actually done to enhance operations. Many a project are done to enhance operations. So they kind of go hand in hand. A lot of the operations folks are involved as resources on the project. Okay? So without trying to diminish chapter 1 or the importance of chapter 1, because it's not in the PMP exam content outline, I do want you to read chapter 1 and look for terms and ideas and things you don't understand. We also have a term, governance. Governance of projects in a firm, which has to do more with the streamlined methods and approach for managing projects in a firm. But anyway, that's for you to study in a PMBOK guide. I hope this helps. Remember, we have a lot of terms that you need to be looking up, so do that. Thank you very much for your audience, and I look forward to speaking to you tomorrow on 40 Days to PMP and CPM Exam Success. Bye for now.